Alrighty, welcome. Just getting started, just getting in here. Hopefully everyone's having a great day, great evening. Saloon. All that good stuff. Boy. Anyways, but no. Feel free to request up if you have a question. I will answer it. If it is a question regarding an opinion, then I will give you my honest opinion. You may not like it, that's fine. If you have a question about something that is more fact-based, I will, if I don't know it, I will look it up for you. So on and so forth. So feel free to request up, and we'll kind of get into discussions and whatnot as the live goes. Hopefully everyone's having a great day, and this, that, and the other. So, yeah.
And don't be a Joe Biden or Kamala Harris supporter. Never.
What?
Said never be a Joe Biden or Kamala Harris supporter. Because they
Where the hell does it
sniffed
say
children. No, I'm saying what?
Oh, anyway, we have a request.
Okay.
Hello.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Yeah, how you doing?
I'm doing great, rocking on with my socks on.
Awesome. What's your question?
What's the difference between a MAGA Republican and like a regular Republican?
So I actually had this question earlier too. So just for a slight clarification, I'm Republican. I'm not MAGA, but MAGA tends to get people to come up here better. Anyway, so essentially the difference is MAGA is more of a hardliner part of the Republican Party. Like, they don't want to really give an inch, or they don't want to give anything to get what their goals are. They just want what they want, and they're not willing to negotiate with it. Versus a Republican, we are, yes, we understand what MAGA wants, and we understand the image and the idea behind it, but we also get that there has to be a give and take. There has to be negotiations. There has to be compromises to get the general premise.
Okay. Ooh, I have another.
Go
ahead.
Yeah, go for it. Yeah, go for it.
Okay, because I'm not very political, right? I don't even vote.
Yeah.
So on this app, I hear that MAGA is considered a cult, but from my perspective, it looks like a fan club. What is your opinion on it?
Oh, I love that opinion. Actually, yeah, I would have to agree with you that it's not really a cult, because a cult is a philosophical, religious leader, and Trump is not religious by any stretch of the verbiage. So I would actually have to agree with you that it's kind of like a fan club. But I will say that when it comes to MAGA, they are going to be there after Trump goes. MAGA's always been there, and has always existed. It's just, it's never been, I guess you could say, given an official, like, catchy name like it is now. It's just been like the hardliners of the Republican Party.
So I thought it kind of was like old school libertarian, like do what you want, just don't infringe on my rights and stuff. Is that kind of like
I
what
mean,
MAGA is?
I
I know,
mean,
I understand, like the sentiment, make
that's
America great again, and I think America
yeah.
is great
So
anyway.
right, yeah. So when it comes to like libertarian, yes. So Republican slash MAGA, that's essentially a party. Now, you have libertarians, you have conservatives, and you have progressives. Those are ideologies. So, ideologies can be in a party and coexist 9 times out of 10. So you can have a MAGA conservative, you can have a MAGA libertarian, you can have a MAGA progressive, although the second two are less common. I have met individuals in those categories though, but not as frequently. Um, but yeah, it tends to lean more conservative though. Like you find a lot of conservatives fall into the MAGA Republican base predominantly than the other ideologies, if that makes sense.
Yes, that does make sense. Oh, okay. I'm sorry, I'm picking your brain here.
No, you're fine. I enjoy it. That's
um,
why I have this live actually.
are you pro ballroom or against ballroom? I'm indifferent.
So me personally, I don't have anything exclusively against the ballroom. The only thing that is sticks on me is the fact that it's donor funded, and that's out of the norm. That's out of the ordinary. Like presidents have done stuff to the White House in the past. For instance, not golf course, but
Full
tennis
court.
course, basketball course, pool, countless add-ons and destructions and whatnot that's always been funded through Congress and by taxpayer dollars because it's the people's house, not private donors' house. So I just feel like it's
Oh,
gonna add an individual gray zone that just did not exist prior when it comes to the ballroom being funded by donors.
okay. Because with the ballroom, I hear a lot of people be like, "I don't want my tax dollars to go there," and then I hear the rebuttal. It's gonna be, the money's gonna be donated, and then like, well, it should it be a personal thing because it's supposed to be for the people, but we don't want it. It seems like it's really complicated over a ballroom,
Well,
which I think
so
would be a
when it
good
comes to the
addition.
ballroom,
It would be
yeah,
functional.
so right. So when it comes to the ballroom, honestly, with how many state dinners and how many functions that the executive branch is required to uphold, I think it would be a great addition to the White House, and very beneficial because if you look around the world, multiple other countries' heads of states' house has a form of a ballroom or a effectively a
Venue.
dining, yeah, a venue. So versus here in the United States currently, they have to go down the street. So and that's not always the best course of action or functional, as unfortunately we have seen not just under Donald Trump, but under prior administrations, to where would be bad actors will try to breach security or try to breach the building and, yeah,
Wouldn't
do
that be
their
in any
nefarious act.
scenario? Whether, okay, because if there's bad actors, it doesn't matter if the function is held down the street or at the White House. Bad actors are going to
Well,
act bad, right?
so
I don't know.
the difference is so when it's a hotel, like the guy was already checked in, the guy was already physically in the building. Versus if it's at the White House, there's an entire perimeter fence, and it's not like people haven't tried to breach that perimeter fence, but I have actually really never heard of someone consistently getting past that perimeter fence. So it's just an added level of security that the Secret Service already knows every single possible thing about the White House versus this hotel venue, as we've seen rather recently, that someone could check in literally a few weeks or a couple of days in advance and yeah, then do their actions. So
Essentially scope out the place. It gives them an opportunity to plan more.
yeah, Yeah, versus the White House, they're not going to be able to do that. There is, if you go to the White House and you're trying to scope out, and they can see that because they have professionals there that do think like hitmen or would be A's, if you understand what that means. Um, and their whole job is to scope out people that might be nefarious. And if they get an inkling, then you are addressed. And if they confirm or if they suspect beyond a reasonable doubt, then you're asked to leave or whatnot, or you're brought up on investigative charges. So they have an added level of knowledge, security, and whatnot of the White House versus a hotel.
Hold on. Okay, I'm gonna have a final question. What is your favorite Trump quote?
um, Honestly, I do not have a favorite Trump quote. I've actually never pondered on a favorite Trump quote. Um, I do have quotes from other presidents, but yeah, when it comes to Donald Trump, I wouldn't necessarily say that I have a favorite. I've heard a few good ones, if you will, but I don't remember them verbatim off the top of my head. So
I have one. It was when he was campaigning, and they were. It was at one of his rallies, and a reporter asked him if he's seen the Men for Harris campaign and what he thought of it.
yeah,
And he goes,
yeah.
I'm not worried because their wives and their wives' lovers will be voting for me. And I thought that was hilarious.
I mean, it definitely was a good troll. Yeah,
Yes.
that definitely was a good troll moment.
Um,
Um, all right. Any
thank you for
any
answering
other
them.
questions? Yeah, it
No,
was
I'm
a
gonna shoot you
pleasure.
a follow. You've been very pleasant. And thank you
Yeah,
for answering
most
my
definitely.
questions.
Yeah, most definitely. Thank you for coming up. It was a great pleasure. Well, chalk that up for number 4 today of a good conversation. Uh, we're on a good track. I ain't gonna lie.
For good
Hello.
conversations.
Hello.
How are you doing?
Good, thanks. How are you?
Doing great. What's your question?
Yeah, what does MAGA mean anymore?
I mean, the terminology is "Make America Great Again."
I know. Is it amnesty for illegals, foreign conflicts? What is it?
the the notion is "Make America Great Again." So, therefore, MAGA believes that America was great at some point in time, and they want to get back to that. Now, each individual has their own perspective on when that time frame was, and I would be willing to say that not even in MAGA will everyone have a one line answer for that question of when was America great, because they're all going to give you a slightly different answer, a slightly different time, and a slightly different reason for that time.
Well, I could tell you what MAGA used to mean, or at least what I thought it meant, but it
Go
is
for it.
just completely different now. Um, it
Okay.
does like MAGA in my idea means make America great again, like in the post World War II, when we were creating skyscrapers and bridges and our education system was great, and we're the leader of the free world, all these things, right? But the thing is Donald Trump stood on a debate stage in 2015 and said that we should have never been in Iraq. So what is the difference between that and Iran? And when Donald Trump grants amnesty to all the self-deportees and gives them $2,000 for their green cards upon return, like, where is this coming from? What happened to Donald Trump? Where is he?
Yeah. So the second thing I'd actually had to agree with you on. Now, the first thing, when it comes to Iraq versus Iran, He essentially was criticizing the administration at the time for their disasters going in there. He wasn't criticizing the reason why they went in there. He just criticized how they went in there and essentially how they was conducting the conflict versus when it comes to Iran, he's essentially playing 3D chess like he usually does. He has an end goal in mind, and just because you can't see it doesn't mean it's not there. Now, the end goal in mind, we can all speculate until it actually happens. Me personally, I think the end goal is to where Iran either completely falls as a country and the people of Iran are able to rise up and start over again. So, and then fundamentally dismantling the various proxy groups and the ambition of acquiring a nuclear capability and hopefully making it to where individuals in Iran will actually prioritize themselves and not exactly care about trying to destroy the world. That's what I feel like the end goal is gonna be / would like to be, but of course we
You're
won't know
just
until it
totally on
happens.
board with going back in like, let's say 20, maybe 30 years. Just time to go back in again.
Oh, I honestly I wanted him to go in his first term. I would have been okay if Joe Biden went in. So, but it's better late than never. Now he's using the nuclear reason, which is fine. That's his reasoning for it. But I have a slightly different reason why I wanted us to go into Iran.
So that we can create more asylum seekers and continue to destroy Europe?
We're not destroying Europe.
Where do you think all of the asylum seekers from Europe come from?
Again, we are not destroying Europe.
Yes, we are. We're aiding in it anyway. The more we boom them, the more people go there.
So, no, when it comes to Iran and quote unquote the European Union, we're not destroying the European Union. We are destroying the Iranian government, but we're not destroying the European Union. There is no stat that I have come across to suggest that we are destroying the European Union. The European Union is as strong as it's ever been. And
how about 20% of people living in France are foreign born? You don't think that's a huge problem?
I would say that that's a repercussion of their own laws.
And us
of their
continuing to
border control.
boom the third world, create more asylum seekers
Okay,
and send them their way.
So the European Union, did they or did they not have this quote unquote Eastern problem prior to the Iran conflict? Did you not hear about it?
When
Like-
do
like
you
if
think
you
it
had-
started?
Oh, this of what's going on currently in Europe? I would say it started between the 1995 to 2000. Roughly in that time frame is when a notable shift actually started to appear.
So like right around the first Gulf War?
Yeah, I would
Yeah.
say that's when. If you actually looked at the geographic makeup of the European Union and individual countries on native born in their country versus newcomers and people of different ethnic backgrounds, the makeup is very I would say interesting to view and look at overall, but again, you start to notice that's when the notice starts to, or sorry, that's when the Middle Eastern geographical makeup starts to be noticed in the European Union. Not to say that's when people started going to the European Union, because guaranteed they started going well before, but that's when it started to be noticed. And now it's becoming more and more of a problem across the board.
Yeah, and we're also destroying our relationship with them. So we're assisting in replacing our European brothers and sisters because we continually bomb the third world who goes to Europe as asylum seekers. And then like I said, 20% of France is foreign born. How do you think those French people are going to vote in their next election?
How do I think France people are going to vote in the next election?
No, the non-native French people. How do non-natives usually vote? Non-natives usually vote for...
I'm going to say this right now, at least on my lives. I can't speak for other lives, but on my lives, if something comes up that I don't know, I'm going to say I don't know. And when it comes to French election laws, I do not know that, so I'm not going to speak on if a individual from another country or whatnot can vote or not, because I just don't know. It'd probably be very fascinating to look up their election laws and how the ins and outs of it, but at this current point in time, I just don't know enough about it.
It's very simple. Immigrants vote to have more immigrants in every country. So
I feel like you're doing a kind of a straw man type of a fallacy, because you're trying to equate something that I just blatantly told you I don't know enough about. And although I get what you're saying, you're either you know about it, France election laws, or you don't. If you don't, then I don't understand why you're necessarily speaking on it like you do. Now, if you do know it, then feel free to explain it to me.
It is pretty standard across the globe that when invaders such as Hispanics enter our country, they vote for the party that was the reason they're here. In this case, the Democrats.
Again, you're misunderstanding what I just got done saying. I said I don't understand France election laws. They might
You don't have to, bro.
Yeah. Okay. So if France has a law stating that people that are not born in the country cannot vote in the election, guess what? Or someone from another country, because there are countries in this world, on our planet, that have elections that have rules that clearly state if you are not ethically from this country, you cannot vote in our elections at all. Japan, for instance, if you are not traditionally from Japan, if your ancestral tree is not from Japan and you try to move there, you are not ever voting in Japan. Sorry to tell you that. So again, I do not know.
And Europe isn't like that.
I don't know that. That's the thing. That's what I'm trying to tell you.
No, you're not listening. 20% of their citizen...
Oh my God. Dark, is it just me, or did he not understand anything of what I was saying?
I don't really think so, no.
Did you understand what I was saying?
Yes and no, but I kind of just stayed out of it because, I mean, election laws are election laws. So, illegals can't
But he's sitting
vote.
here saying that individuals are going to come from another country, and then he's saying that people are going to vote in those elections. You don't know that.
Unless the law says that they can, then they can. If the law says that they can't, until a certain time, like you get your citizenship, then they can vote. But if you don't have your citizenship, you can't vote. It's that simple. I don't know why we're kind of just overlooking this shit.
No, it's just he was hounding on something that he clearly didn't know about. Because I asked him if he knew about French election laws, because I don't know about them. I honestly, I only knew about the Japan one because it was a fun fact that I came across one day. But I don't know about French.
I don't know anything about the French either, other than the fact that they're only good at retreating in wars and that their tanks suck. That's it. That's all I really know about the French.
No, something tells me no matter what I was gonna say, it's Trump bad. Trump shouldn't have went into Iran. That was his general thing, which is fine. He can have that opinion, but that doesn't change the facts of the situation at hand.
Yep. I don't know what you want me to do, dude. My dog is laying on my wife. It's really funny to watch. It's entertaining.
Alrighty.
So we've had 4 good conversations, and the 5th one just happened to be a very bad conversation.
So far, I'm liking that ratio.
Right.
It's better than the normal ratio.
Can you get up here for like properly? Do you want attention? Do you want pets and attention and love and affection?
Oh.
Come on. Come on. Good boy. There you go. My puppy just wants attention. Okay. What the fuck?
Alright. Should I form a big, beautiful in gold? What? Whatever you choose, bro. I don't care.
Your dad will fall to the floor. Your brother will punch the wall and then apologize to it because it didn't deserve that. But neither did you. Your best friend will get a call mid-shift. She'll go silent and throw
I can't even look at that question. It's gonna hurt my brain.
Probably.
Charging my phone, and then I'm gonna start cooking some dinner.
Alrighty.
It puts the lotion on the skin, or it gets the hose of it.
the sun will still shine above the
Feel free to request up, guys, if you have a question, or if you want to just put your question in the comments, that's fine too. I will see it and I will answer it. If it's an opinion-based question, then I will answer with an honest opinion. If it's a fact-based question, then if I don't know, then I will look it up to relay the information. The whole goal of the live is to be upfront, honest, and answer questions and have good conversations and dialogue to the best of our abilities. So.
It puts the lotion on the skin, or it gets the hose again. If there's one thing these females need to learn, is that they need to know their place.
I mean, at least we've had more positive conversations so far than negative ones. I'll be honest, I especially like the question when people ask what's the difference between MAGA and a regular Republican. I'll be honest, that question kind of. It's a nice question. Oh. Alrighty. How's everybody doing? Hopefully you're all doing great.
She can't keep this baby. Why? Why can't they have my baby? Katie can't take care of both of you. Why can't I be a mommy? We're not gonna have this conversation now. Here's the address. You meet us there and we'll get your DNA sample. I want my baby. Mommy, please don't take away my baby. All right, okay, if you're not. Okay, you can sleep, honey. Take us. Thank you. Dr. Benson, this is peanut butter tissue sample for cause of conception. Brain tap procedure. Hey, Jack. How are you doing here? Mr. Lucas obtained an injunction to stop the abortion. The outcome of the hearing. What kind of hearing? On your daughter. She has the right to decide whether or not to keep the baby. She is not capable of making that decision. You can't listen that you were on the way over. Miss Katie O'Fay, she's supposed
There's something very big happening in Kentucky next week, and the implications of it go far beyond the state lines. Tuesday, May 19th is the primary election in Kentucky, and Thomas Massie is fighting to keep his place. And what I believe is this going to be an indication that we are ready to welcome in a new era of politics, or do we want more of the same? Do we want big money influencing our elections? Do we want yes men and political shills? Do we want individuals who are going to go along to get along and protect the establishment status quo? Or do we want principled candidates who we may not agree with all the time? There's no politician I agree with all the time. But we know that when they disagree with the party they caucus with, which is over 90% of the time, they're going to stand with their principles. Do we want fiscal conservatives who are going to get our country's finances back on track and save future generations? I want a principled candidate. I want to say no more to the system as is. I want to say no more to the establishment and whatever they've got going on. And candidates who are being dragged through the mud this much by said establishment, you should perk up for. And so I am flying to Kentucky. I'm flying to Kentucky this weekend to help Thomas Massie win this primary because I believe in it.
The question of the day.
It's actually hilarious that you asked that because usually I hate wearing gloves whenever I work on cars because I like to be able to feel.
3 days later, my dad was blind, but no one treated him differently because was blind. Primarily because
Line 21, thanks to Mr. Tyler's buyback.
my Uncle Glenn, he and my dad had all sorts of maneuvers.
Double cheeseburger? Too many calories for me. I'll just get the shrimp salad. Well, I'm getting that double cheeseburger.
When my dad moved out, he made the decision to get Elvis and come out to the world.
Forward? You pretend to be sighted one more time, and we cash the check with all the nice commas and zeros. No. I'm asking, as your business partner, as your brother?
Dad's conscience was about to be.
You've been blind this whole time? Since I was 12. You test drove my $100,000 car. Nice ride, Tony. It really hugs the road. You're like a superhero. Who still represents you in all forms of legal activity, both corporate and personal? Hey, you've always done top shelf work for me. As long as that continues, I'm not going anywhere. But I will say, honesty is the best policy. You're paying for dinner.
My dad was blind.
Nothing much, Canada. How about you? How you doing?
21, thanks to Mr. Tyler's buyback.
My Uncle Glenn, he and my dad had all sorts of maneuvers.
Double.
Trash. I mean, what kind of screen protector does that, where it breaks instantly with a light touch like this and turns into something like this? Now let's see what happens with our second generation screen protector that is made to protect your screen extremely self-line. You don't need to worry about this. Alignment able, just put it on top, hold with a small tape, swipe, and appeal. Then swipe from the middle to make it observe faster. Swipe edges like this. And as you can see, no mess, no near holes. For less than 15 seconds, prior solution protects your privacy from both sides at 28 degrees. Hydrophobic electroplated solely for clear makes your screen silky smooth and fingerprint proof. It is consistent and extremely durable. And if you like it, you get fully certified silk with the okay peppers. Now, home trash.
Mm-hmm. Alrighty. And everybody, if you have a question, feel free to request up or put it in the comments. I'll answer it and go from there.
Trash. You want to see? Why am I CC on this? This has nothing to do with you. Instead of typing out my reply, I'm using. Oh my God! I did not know deer could have dwarfism. He would have been coming home with me. Beyond what any of us can imagine.
Did y'all see the video where
The Democrat Party cannot run on content of character and win. They will try to run on the color of our skin and use us for power, just like before Lincoln.
All right. Dazzle me with your youthful idealism. Checks all of the boxes. Christian. So if you don't got AC in your if you don't got AC in your car, you don't want to spend $5.
your hair?
White marshmallow, brown coffee.
If you touch a raven's beak, it will wipe it clean right away, then it'll stare at you like you just offended it. That's not random. Ravens are naturally emotional animals. When ravens are raised around humans, some of them get extremely attached. Almost like dogs with wings. They can sit on your shoulder while you walk around. Call them, and they'll fly right back to your shoulder. And their intelligence goes way beyond following commands. Ravens can use tools to get water. Some can even turn on a faucet by themselves. In winter, some ravens have even been seen adding sticks to a fire to stay warm. They're also amazing mimics. They don't just copy human speech. Sometimes they even imitate a cat's meow just to get your attention. The most special part is that ravens can remember people who treat them well. If workers keep feeding them in the wild, ravens can remember those people. Sometimes they'll leave coins they collected in the same place where they get fed. And if you don't take the coin, next time, they might come back with a bill.
Think about that. Even if you are like gung ho pro Israel, you need to look at how his opponent has been funded.
The rocket is good to go.
All right, that sounds good, man.
No lighting, this is good. Also, you solved my problem. I'm not putting my phone.
A superhero stung me with his tail. It pierced my skin.
Hmm.
The real reason you ejaculate fast.
Most people don't realize. Most people don't realize, but all of this is trapped way down in here, and if you ignore it, it could lead to this. And because cleaning this out once every twice a month isn't enough, one of the best things we can do as homeowners is clean out all of the excess lint that's trapped at the bottom.
You guys wanted the story time, so here it goes. This is the end.
Hello there.
Sorry.
Oh, damn. Yeah, boy.
This is the end.
It's one small step for man, one giant step for Jose. About a 3-story step if you ain't careful. I trusted a hooker with a hose long before I trusted those ratchet straps. Just slide down it. I have never in my life seen a Spanish construction worker move so damn slow. Come on, Jose, you can't do it.
Wow. Apparently nobody wants to ask a question. Or have a conversation. That's kind of interesting to me. Oh. No questions. No, nothing. Wow. Even the trolls. Interesting. It's funny when people are scared to come up. It's ironic. Hey, Pam. Like, hello.
Gibbons. Hey, do you think the president cares about your financial situation?
Nope, he doesn't give a fucking shit.
Aw.
Why would he?
What? Because, he's your president and a businessman, and he's supposed to make your life easier and more affordable.
I'm sorry. That's funny. No.
No.
Joe Biden didn't care about my financial situation. Kamala Harris wouldn't have cared about my financial situation. Nobody really usually gives a crap about other people's financial situations. So the fact that people think that it's a gotcha to ask that question is funny as hell to me. Because
So you don't think the politicians elected, to pass laws to make your life easier, right, and more affordable, that is just false. Like, what are you going to claim next? That your elected representatives are not supposed to represent you?
So that's the goal, but how often is that the outcome?
Well, I mean, he was not a politician, right? He's a businessman, a successful businessman, an outsider, someone who is going to drain the swamp, right?
Okay, so I'm not going to try to pronounce that name. So I am not going to say everything that you've probably ever heard in any kind of conversation you've been in. I'm an individual. Now, if you want to have an actual conversation with me and talk to me and get my takes on things, then cool. But if you're just going to come up here and spread the nuanced jargon that everybody seems to firmly believe, that they blanket across the entire Republican Party or the entire MAGA movement, is absurd. Not everybody thinks exactly the same way. And the fact that you seem to think so says a lot about you.
No. I mean, those are the talking MAGA points, right? He wasn't a
Where have I
politician,
said that?
right? No,
Where
those
have
are
I
the
said
talking MAGA points. You could not say that Trump is never a man, right? That doesn't stop the fact of him being a man. True. Okay? Just because you didn't say something does not mean that is the general voice of MAGA. Okay? MAGA said that he was a businessman, right? Is that a fact? Yes or no? Is Trump a businessman?
Was, yes.
Okay. Was Trump ever a politician?
The moment he started running and won, he became a politician by default.
Okay, when he was running his campaign, he ran it as not being a politician, as being an outsider, someone who was going to drain the swamp. He didn't.
Yes.
He didn't.
Yeah, that's what he ran on.
And
He was going from an outsider perspective, and anyone with a brain would understand that it's not as easy as just saying it, wishing it, and it becomes true. It does take work, it does take time, because our government has become so big and entwined.
8 years and nothing done.
I'll agree to disagree with that.
8 years. He had nothing done. Where's
You're
the
entitled
wall?
to your opinion.
Where's the wall?
You're in
What are you going to
the
say? That the
wall?
wall is an opinion now and the construct of the wall is just a mental hoax of the Democrats? Is that what you're going to say next? That he never promised the wall and Mexico was gonna pay for it?
No, he promised the wall, and I will admit that he stupidly promised that Mexico was going to pay for it, which he had no actual executive power to force Mexico to pay for it. So that was kind of a stupid red meat towards his base that anyone who actually gave it an ounce of thought was like, wait, how is he going to do that? There's no realistic way that he could do that, minus a few exceptions, which even those exceptions wouldn't amount to the amount of dollars and funding that he would require for that wall. Now, the wall itself has been pretty well built, but not completed.
Okay, bro. If you truly believe that, you just told me who you are as a MAGA, right? You're gonna believe everything, right? And anyone that says anything different is an opinion, right? And then if they catch you on one of your fuck ups, oh well, stop generalizing because you're an individual and MAGA does not represent
Mhm.
you,
Correct.
right? So you're a fucking hypocrite that is gonna move the goalposts to please Donald Trump, right? And
Where am I a hypocrite?
if tomorrow Gibbons,
Stop. You don't know me, yet you're calling me a hypocrite.
you are
Where
a
am I a
hypocrite,
hypocrite?
Gibbons, and if tomorrow Trump
Where?
shot your mother, you would blame your mother because your mother got on the way of the bullets. Okay, Gibbons, that is how hypocritical you are. And the fact that you
First of all, you shouldn't have said that. Second of all, when it comes to that, no. If that were to happen, I'd call the cops and he'd be charged for one, discharging of a firearm in city limits, two, basically non provoked because my mom wouldn't do anything to deserve it because she's a supporter of Donald Trump too. So that's outlandish. But interesting trying to get a gotcha. I don't know what you want on that.
Yo, real quick. Benson, you were the dumbest person I've ever seen on this app. You said he wouldn't go to jail. Are you that stupid, or are you just that delusional? I'm confused at this point. Like, there's gotta be a fine line from stupid and delusional. Like, you can't just be both. No, he wouldn't. Oh my god, you were so retarded. Well, I gotta go mute for a second.
Yeah, I'm gonna drop you real quick, but you can come
Why?
back up here in a minute. I had to drop you because you can't say that R word. I'm sorry, you can't. It's just I've seen too many lives get taken down because of it, and I just not doing it. You're welcome to request back up. Maybe I might be okay to let you back up, but yeah. All right.
I did
Over
it
the
again.
top. Yeah, over the top. I will bring you back up, but I'm gonna let Steve up first. Hello, Steve. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing great. What's your question?
I'm sorry. I didn't really have a question.
Oh, well. Okay. What would you like to talk about then?
I was just joining a live.
Oh, well. I mean, welcome up. Yeah, I'm mainly just trying to answer people's questions about MAGA, Republican, or just Republican, or yeah.
Oh, I'm
just
MAGA.
trying to have.
Well, I'm MAGA, so you don't have to answer any of my questions. So go ahead and drop me, and I'll go to the next room. Have a good night, sweetheart.
All right. Yep. You have a great one. Did he just call me sweetheart? I swore that's what I just heard. Oh, I'll let it go. It is what it is. Oh. No, that was wild. if Trump blank did blank and blank, it's like, what the it's like, do you see how mentally slow that you are, that you couldn't prove a point, so you had to start going to insults, not to mention you had to go to a personal family attack just to feel like you made a point, when all you did was show how gross of a person you actually are. That's all that showed me. And I'd say anybody who's watching, that's all that showed them. It's how gross of a person you truly are. Because although me and you might disagree, I would never say anything close to that to you. It's not reality. Anyway, guys, feel free to request up, ask a question, put it in the comments. Fine as well. It just... Wow. Wow. And they say people on the right are violent. I've honestly never heard, me personally, I've never heard someone on the right nearly say something that disgusting.
Well, fuck did
or
I
that
miss?
appalling. Oh, the guy that was just up here, he, the best way I could describe it is he crashed out, and he said, "I'm a hypocrite." Don't know how I'm a hypocrite because he wouldn't tell me. He just said I was a hypocrite. And then he said that if Donald Trump held a blank to my mother's head and pulled the trigger, that I would take Donald Trump's side and say that my mom's at fault for getting in the way of a blank.
Okay.
And it's like, wow, bro, wow.
The tolerant and loving left we all have come to hate and despise. It's crazy.
It's like, and I wasn't saying nothing bad to him, but, oy.
I get to eat Domino's tonight.
Oh,
because
you lucky
my
son
wife
of a
said
bitch.
she was gonna cook chicken, but instead is ordering food from the same company that she works for.
Nice. Hey, at least she knows how it's going to be made.
I don't know, it's not from her store, so it's not free.
Who are you talking to?
My TikTok husband.
Oh. Hi, husband's husband. That's his name.
Hello.
Husband.
Husbands?
Oh my lord.
There's an S under the after the first husband.
Oh, Jesus.
Except in this situation, he's the one that would eat the honey bun.
Oh my god. The fuck?
Why do you have to make things gay?
Because it's fun. Because I may not be, but it's fun to act up. It was entertaining for me. Another one in the request box. Yeah, I wonder if it's the same person that was saying that blasphemy stuff. I should probably go seek fucking professional help.
I don't know.
Oh, I guess they dropped. Well, if it isn't my favorite northern Mexican, I'll see you in here. Being all quiet and shit and not even liking the live out. Oh,
All
damn
right, we have
northern
a-
Mexicans.
Hello, how you doing?
Hey, pretty good. How are you?
Doing great. What's your question?
Yeah, I guess I don't know. Like at this point in his term, how are you feeling about his performance?
Um, I would probably give him a C minus.
I think what are some of the biggest reasons that cause you to grade him like that?
So some of the biggest reasons is when it comes to how he's addressed a few things. When it comes, so I would say that how for one the ballroom on making it to where it's donor funded and not funded by the taxpayers, that's kind of it just leaves like a potential for a gray area that did not exist prior. So I'm curious, I'm kind of uncertain how that's going to all play out. When it comes to how he went into Iran, I feel like he left the Strait of Hormuz way too exposed where he shouldn't have. When it comes to how he's predominantly trying to go after birthright citizenship and not really giving a plan as to like how he would want it to be framed and whatnot that I've been able to find. So um, there's a few other things, but yeah.
Oh wow. Okay. So that's super informative. But yet you do still support Donald Trump though, right? Right.
Yes, I have criticisms of him, but overall, he's still doing stuff that I do support. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Well, that was very intellectually honest. I guess what are some of the things that you do support in that case?
So some of the things that I do support is um, I do actually support us going into Iran, although his reasons is his reasons. I kind of had my own reasons why I feel like we should have went in there a long time ago.
Yeah.
Um, when it comes to how he's doing with the border, I feel like he is at least doing his level best to enforce the laws that are on the books and attempting to be patient for Congress to do their damn jobs and actually do a border reform bill.
Yeah.
And when it comes to collectively, I don't think he intended on being a one man show, but Congress's lack of a backbone, I feel, has kind of forced him to be a one man show in the form of countless executive orders. So I understand it from a perspective. I just wish that Congress would actually grow a backbone and Republicans use the power that Democrats seem to use every time they get a majority. So yeah.
Yeah, I guess I don't know, like my reading on it is that like Donald Trump like he doesn't very much like to work with Congress. Do you see that perspective or no? Like it seems like he wants to do like most things unilaterally.
Um, I would so honestly, I would say that I could see that perspective, but I think it's more of the fact that, like I just got done saying, of Congress kind of is forcing him to do stuff unilaterally instead of doing the trying to pressure them like Barack Obama and Joe Biden did of it seemed like a lot of stuff under their administrations, Democrats, like I just got done saying, when they have a majority, they get lots of stuff done. They use the power that they was given. Versus Republicans in Congress, when they have a majority, they don't usually get a lot done, which I think fundamentally frustrates someone like Donald Trump because he's used to when he has an objective, when he has a vision, he does stuff to obtain and to achieve that objective slash the vision. And if someone is not being productive in doing anything to achieve it, then he just kind of does what he can, however he can. And I feel like that's what's going on because Congress the only thing that I've productively seen Congress do is, thus far, is the one big beautiful bill, and arguably Donald Trump was heavily involved in that towards the end, and that's one of the reasons why it got passed. But other than that, he was increasingly trying to allow Congress to do what it's supposed to do, and it's unfortunate that Republicans will not do away with the filibuster, and like Democrats have done several times in historical premise.
Well, I don't know if either party is necessarily bought into the idea of getting rid of the filibuster in that, it provides a stopgap mechanism for, I guess, the minority party in power or against the majority party in power. But who knows? I guess, what do you make of the authoritarian charges against them? Do you think that those have any sort of merit to them, or do you think it's just people being a little bit or creating like a little bit of a moral panic around it?
Authoritarian charges, that must be new. I haven't heard of it.
Oh, like that wait, okay, so if I say the word authoritarian or authoritarianism, do you know what that means?
I know what it means, but I haven't heard him being formally charged with it. Where is that? Can I look that up somewhere?
No. So not formally charged in the sense of like there are
Oh,
criminal
I thought you
charges.
was meaning formally charged. Sorry.
No. I just meant like the charge. Like if there's a charge against somebody that like they have bad character, like how do you defend for that charge? Like I meant it in an informal sense. Like people have levied the criticism that he increasingly acts like an authoritarian. And I was wondering your opinion on that. Do you think that that has any merit to it, or do you think that like people are just kind of freaking out and creating a moral panic around him?
Honestly, I believe that a vast majority of presidents, by design, has authoritarian premises because they are the executive branch. That is literally kind of like an authoritarian position. Like you pass laws, you enforce those laws, and whatnot. So yeah, it technically is kind of an authoritarian by design. Now, presidents like Joe Biden didn't really have an authoritarian aspect because of, I would argue, his age, the fact that the only time that I actually really seen Joe Biden was very briefly when he did speeches, but when it came to signing stuff, he didn't do public signings very often. I didn't really
Yeah.
ever see him do public signings, and he wasn't really in the public eye like Donald Trump is. It seems like Donald Trump is in the public eye at least once every single day for a minimum of a few hours. Versus Joe Biden, there was times that we went 2, 3, sometimes 4 days without hearing hide or hair of him. And we knew he existed. We knew he was our president, but it's like, okay, what's he doing?
Yeah, true, and I could see those criticisms. I guess when people say authoritarianism, I guess one of the criticisms is that the president is usurping his constitutional authority and sort of encroaching on the powers and authorities of the other branches of government, right? So um, those are kind of the criticisms that are made against him in that sense. So, like for instance, to give a concrete example of this, like Donald Trump effectively using tariffs to be able to impose universal tariffs on pretty much the whole world. That is a usurping of power from Congress, which Congress only has the authority to be able to levy taxes. But President Trump essentially ended up taking it on his own unilateral accord to implement universal tariffs and essentially levy taxes on the people of the country. That would be like one example.
To my understanding, and I could be wrong about this, Mike Johnson I would say Mike Johnson kind of went against the constitutional premise on this, and I do understand where you're coming from, but to my knowledge, Mike Johnson and the Republican Party basically passed a piece of legislation that kind of gave temporary power when it came to tariffs over to the president, and the temporary power was not defined of how long or how short it was supposed to be. So it honestly just continued until, of course, we all know that Supreme Court ruled that, hey, this is only supposed to be limited power, and it actually falls under the juriscope of the legislative branch, not the executive branch. So, one, these tariffs are going to go away, and whatever money collected needs to be returned. So, I would say that in another aspect, I would agree with you if Mike Johnson and the Republican Party didn't initially give him that leash, if you will, didn't give him that power. They shouldn't have done that, I agree with you, but the fact that they did kind of takes it out of the premise of him being quote unquote an authoritarian.
Also, I don't know. I don't see that at all. So, a president acting as an authoritarian, sometimes they do it along with the help of a Congress or another branch of government. So, like as a historical example of this, like, Mustache Man, like Schmittler, like the way that he essentially ended up turning, the Weimar Republic, their democracy, into a full-blown dictatorship was through their legislature by passing the Enabling Act, right? So the Congress pretty much ended up giving I forgot what he was, the chancellor, I think that he was, his position, but they effectively ended up legislating away all of their power and then granting it to him as, a dictatorship. So I think that Congress can work along people in order to be able to give them powers that make them authoritarian. And I think that this would be one of those examples. But regardless, I think that, we both agree that he was riding roughshod on the Constitution for almost a full year by implementing those universal tariffs until the Supreme Court had to step in and say, hey, this is kind of unconstitutional. You can't do that.
Yeah, I would have to agree with that. It's just I tend to fall back on the fact that Mike Johnson, again, and Congress gave him that power. It's kind of on Congress, de facto of them giving their power in that format to the executive branch. Now, if the executive branch, my view is if the executive branch / Donald Trump said, hey, I'm taking this power, I don't give a fuck what you say, or some format of that nature, then I'd say, yeah, I could see that authoritarian premise, and I'd have to fundamentally disagree with that if he did do that, which, to my recollection and to my knowledge, that's not how it happened. Congress gave the power to him, and he used it to the fullest. Which you can have your emotions, you can have your thoughts and opinions on it, it's fine, but the fact is Congress gave him that power.
Well, I think something that's important to note, just like to put a bow on that topic right there, is that Congress can't constitutionally give powers to the president that are not constitutionally granted to him. So that's part of the reason why the Supreme Court ended up ruling that this was, an illegal, unconstitutional use of IEPA, which were very narrowly tailored emergency powers that do allow the president to be able to regulate international trade, et cetera, but not to the universal scope that he ended up doing it, which was, obviously unconstitutional.
Yeah.
And
like
wait,
I said,
and I guess I'll give you the last word on that because then I do have to bounce. But it's been a good conversation.
Yeah.
I do appreciate it. But go ahead.
Yeah. Honestly, yeah, it's been a great conversation. My whole goal is to have good conversations. So, but I guess we'll just have to leave with I have my thoughts and opinions on the matter. You have your thoughts and opinions. I do agree with some of what you said. So, but other than that, thank you for coming up. It was a pleasure.
Well, yeah, I'll give you a
Feel
follow, and
free.
then if you go live again, maybe we can talk or chat again about some of this stuff.
Yeah, most definitely. Have a great one.
All right, man. Have a good one. See ya.
Yep. Okay.
Sorry, my girlfriend called me, and it was important, so I had to pick up.
Oh, you're good. Tomorrow News Now. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing great. What's your question?
How do you feel about, I guess, Trump or the MAGA movement or what it's become after, I guess we'll say, what, 2 years? A year and a half?
Well, when it comes to Trump, I feel like overall, I feel like he's doing what he feels is best for the country. Whether or not people agree is perfectly fine. Some do, some don't. I personally overall agree. I do have criticisms of him, but yeah, I expect that with any kind of politician, you're going to have criticisms of any politician. When it comes to the MAGA movement, I don't feel like the MAGA movement itself has changed. I feel like it has splintered a little bit. Like certain individuals that used to be perceived as hardcore MAGA have tried to splinter off and create their own splinter group version of it. And I feel like they can do that. They're gonna do what they want to do. I don't necessarily agree with them. They're entitled to their beliefs and their opinions, but yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I feel like I'm one of those people that I just feel very disappointed with him. I was very pleased with him, I'd say the first 6 months or 7 months, and I don't know. Since about last July, I just feel like there's a little bit more each month or two where I'm just like, what are we doing?
I mean, so what would you say is your turns you off when it comes to currently with Donald Trump?
So I'll give I guess a three-pronged answer, but I'll make it very quickly.
You're good.
I was not a fan of following Israel into a forever religious conflict. I am very disappointed, and I know that it's not him directly, but if we were holding Biden accountable the same way with his DOJ, Trump has to be held by the same standard. I'm not thrilled with extensions of Trump, people that he brought in like Pam Bondi and the whole file handling and Dan Bongino and Patel. And I'm really, it's basically the straw that broke the camel's back for me was yesterday, I believe, or 2 days ago, when this DOJ allowed the statute of limitations for Anthony Fauci to run out. And given what had happened, I mean, Trump's biggest downfall up until this term was always the jabs. And he still tried to push it during his campaign trail in 24 until the crowd booed him. And for this DOJ to just really be hands off on Fauci, while people like Rand Paul are saying we need to indict him. I mean, we're talking about millions of people who were on Trump's side, millions of people who were not, but both losing their life over what this person did. And just, I'm getting more and more just disappointed with what I'm seeing. And I guess lastly, I know I said three, but I don't love this whole Peter Thiel, Palantir thing and this AI surveillance. And I'm just, there are just some things that are very alarming to me with this second term. And I voted for him 3 times. I'm not one of these people that regrets the vote. I just don't like what I'm seeing. I would never have voted for Kamala. Never. But I just, this is, it's just head shaking.
Yeah. So, overall, I respect your opinion on pretty well everything you said. I don't completely agree with your views, I guess I should say. But when it comes to Fauci, I wouldn't say necessarily that it's Trump's fault or the DOJ's fault progressively, because to my recollection, and I'll look this up if I need to, but to my recollection, Biden did blanket pardons when it came to Fauci and several others. So in those pardons, I'd have to take a look at it, but that included anything that he did pertaining to his job when it came to the pandemic and the response and whatever he did or lack thereof. So they wouldn't have been able to legally prosecute him even if the statute of limitations didn't exist.
So in the most non-combative way possible, having a conversation with you, I've heard Trump say a couple things and about these pardons. And number one, I mean, this was what, 6 months ago, maybe less. He talked about how there's irrefutable proof now, and it's been confirmed that, Biden himself did not sign it, making these pardons null and void. I don't know why it feels like all bark and no bite with this Trump presidency, at least after the 6-month mark. I mean, when he came in, he was doing all the right things, and the left was going insane over the tariffs and the ICE raids and things like that, but he was keeping his word. And now it's just like, I don't think at all about Americans' financial situations when I'm making a deal or not. And it's like, Trump, come on, man. Like, you're supposed to be America first. It's supposed to be make America great again. So what's going on?
So when it comes to the auto pen, me and my admin here, Dark, we already looked into it. So legally, an auto pen can be used to sign pardons. There's nothing in the Constitution. There's nothing in any laws to state that an auto pen cannot be used to sign a pardon or anything of that nature. The only criteria is the president has to be the one to give the okay / the consent for it to happen. As long as he does that, it literally could be the auto pen, it could be him. As long as the president acknowledges and gives you a consent for it to happen. That's literally the only criteria, is the president has to approve of it, essentially.
And how do we verify that Biden, who, I mean, let's call a spade, he was getting lost in the front yard. He didn't really know where he was half the time. How do we verify as, Americans? Is it a FOIA request that, he gave the okay? Because I really don't think he knew a lot.
When it comes to that, that's where I will say that you'll have to wait for the investigations, because Donald Trump did have an investigation launched into the auto pen to see the validity and to see whether or not those signatures was approved by Joe Biden, or if staff members just decided unilaterally, okay, this is who's going to get this pardon, this is who's not going to get this pardon. To my understanding and recollection at this time, that investigation has not bared any significant fruit. It comes up every now and again in the news, but every time I've looked into it, I have not seen any substantial evidence to suggest any foul play at this time.
It's just a shame, man. I feel like we've gotten off the track, and I feel like there's no urgency now. But no, I appreciate you bringing me up here. I give you a follow.
Yep.
I'm running into a shop right now, but I don't.
All right. Well, yep.
Much, but
You're good.
man.
Have a great one. Yep. Thank you for coming up. This is going to be a good conversation live, ain't it? So far. Oh. Feel free to request up, guys. Ask a question or whatnot. We can go into a discussion. Are you willing to talk about, as long as it's respectful? Um, yeah, overall, I'm willing to talk about quite a few things. You're welcome to come up. I mean, my whole criteria is that it's respectful. That's literally the baseline of my criteria.
Hey, host, how you doing?
So, hi, how are you doing? I'm doing great. How about you?
I'm very good. I'm 44 and from Canada.
Awesome. Unlike other lives, I don't ask those questions because that would require me to believe you, and
That's right.
you're a random person on the internet, so I have no way to verify anything.
No, you don't have to engage in a good faith assumption. I respect that. So I have a couple questions if it's okay. And
yeah, go for it.
Okay. My questions are strictly on the economic side, specifically trade
Okay.
policy, international. So, are you of the belief, or do you adhere to what seems to be a general MAGA belief, that America has been screwed over in trade deals, and that many countries in the rest of the world have taken advantage of it?
Not completely. So let me just start by this premise. The MAGA part of my background, it's up there to encourage people to come up and to, because I've tried I'm a Republican and I don't get a lot of discourse. So MAGA tends to get people like, ooh. Anyway, so when it comes to the trade and whatnot, I believe that some countries was, I guess you could say, dealing in bad faith and not really benefiting the United States, but I wouldn't say that that's the majority.
You are completely different than what I expected. The fact that it was a polite conversation even before, relatively, what I did here was an eye opener for me. Many other, and not only saying Republicans, but in MAGA especially, they have as much caustic energy as the worst of the woke. So many of, it's very hard to have a good faith conversation. So I appreciate that, by the way.
Yep, most definitely.
So my only other question was going to ask you was, then, does that mean you agree or disagree with Moran and what's the other guy's name? The one who are trying to push the idea of the decoupling theory. Do you agree with the decoupling theory or no?
I don't remember the decoupling theory verbatim, so forgive me. I'm gonna have to look that up real super fast.
Sure.
Kind of.
If you can trust me enough to give a good faith, you can still trust but verify, like Reagan would say. But basically, the argument is that America allowed the offshoring of its manufacturing and such to its own peril, and allowed the world supply chains to go to China, and this creates a national security risk, an intolerable one, allegedly. And so the best opportunity for Americans is to recenter the global supply chain around America again, like it was post-World War II. And that's where allegedly the tariff idea is, and so on and so forth.
Okay. I mean, I definitely get the premise of that theory. I would say that there is very simple validity to it, but I wouldn't necessarily say that it's like blanket truth, if that makes sense to you. I would say that when it comes to China, I do not like how China has kind of cornered the market on exports and kind of become a geopolitical bully monster in the form of it exports more than the United States does. So everyone kind of feels like it has to be nice to China. And to certain aspects, if you actually look into what all China makes, we do get a fair amount from China in the form of luxury goods and certain agricultural benefits. But other than that, no, I would say that we're actually pretty good at making a lot of stuff domestically, but I feel like we could do better.
So I don't want to take up too much time at your pleasure or at your privilege, as you so choose. But can I ask some follow up? Is that okay?
Yeah, go for it.
So my pushback to you is when you characterized it as China being a monster. You don't have to agree with it because we're all going to have biases based on where we are, our national loyalties. But can you countenance the idea that America is viewed as a monster by a large chunk of the peoples of other nations, because it was interesting the way you phrased it, that China's a monster, when I can make I'm your northern neighbor. I can make an argument that America has been monstrous since 2000.
Oh yeah, I've already understood that the United States is a monster. I would never claim that it's not. My whole thing is, whereas other nations aren't able to do what the United States is able to do, we need to, as time goes, kind of, because if you actually look at how much the United States imports from China,
Yep.
their productively their market, we are their biggest customer. So if we slowly turn off that spigot to where we are buying less and less and less stuff from them, that is predominantly going to hurt their economy and make it to where it slowly over time collapses in the form of they lose geopolitical influence, geopolitical power, and stuff in the like. So that's kind of my whole thing is, yes, I understand that the United States is a monster. I'm not going to sit here and say it's not, but we're the monster that we have specific interests that I feel is more beneficial to the world than when it comes to China. But people can disagree with that. That's fine.
You're the most reasonable Republican I've talked to in a while, by the way. Talk to reasonable libertarian,
you.
but I'm telling you, you are the most reasonable Republican. I appreciate that. One last thing. You were saying that you put MAGA up even though you're not really MAGA, but you're Republican. Would you, so you're maybe the best right-wing audience for this question, because I've been challenging many of your supposed leftists in the country, like Democrats and shit. And it's really interesting when I challenge them on this, how quickly, if you scratch them hard enough, they become Republican themselves. So I'm just setting up a question. If you were, like, you kind of grudgingly put up MAGA more for engagement, but you're more of a traditional Republican, would you not prefer to have a modern democratic standard where you had 4 or 5 viable candidates equally competing, let's say, not exactly like a parliamentary system, but closer to, where you had a true multiple party to choose from? Because what I'm gathering, or I'm guessing, is that it really sucks if you have to choose the lesser of two evils, if you tend to be a Republican, but you don't really like MAGA per se, or you're not super into MAGA, that you have a choice between holding your nose and voting for this version of your ideology you don't like, or voting blue, which would be anathemic. So would you support a multiple party system?
Actually, no. So I'm fundamentally against a multi-party system because I used to be for it, but as I actually looked into it, I came across a video one time that pointed something out to me. So when it comes to a two-party system, each individual candidate of each individual party has to garner X amount of the vote in their respected race. So if it's just two people, then they have to garner at minimum 55% of the vote to basically be elected / be to win the race, which then they have to appeal to more and more people versus for every additional individual or for every additional party, that kind of liquidates the voter pool to where instead of 55%, now they only have, now those between those three individuals, the two bigger parties only have to garner maybe 40%, 45 tops. So that lowers the threshold that they have to garner, that they have to get support to win a race.
So if I may, that's a fair critique, and it's a fair American critique I've heard. Let me push back in this. I would argue revealed voter preference is far, far greater in a 5-way race. And that, I know this might sound almost counterintuitive, but that in a 5-party race, one party that gets 40% of the vote is a far greater mandate than in a simple coin flip winning 51-49. Because if you have two options, then you only have two and you choose this or that, or obviously there's the outside options like not voting at all or splitting the ballot or something like that. But if you have two effective options, then you're essentially coin flipping. But in a 4 or 5-way race, even 3-way, but in a 4 or 5-way race especially, sorry, I don't know why.
Love the Lion King.
Sorry, background.
No, it's all good, man. But in a 4 or 5-way race, it actually tells you more about where the polity wants to go. If 40% of the vote goes to one party, and then 25% goes to another party, because you could make the argument that a blending of those two parties represents a greater mandate than just a simple coin flip. That's my pushback to you.
Yeah, my biggest thing is that the less that a candidate or a party has to garner for the support of the people, the less and less people are going to actually approve of that candidate overall. So let's use your 5-party analysis in a U.S. sense. Basically 5 people running, then you have 5 candidates. So out of the 50-50, so then one particular candidate would only have to garner a minimum of 20% of the vote, essentially, to be elected to that house. So only 20% of the country actually cares enough for that individual party or that individual opinion to vote for them. But when it comes to the rest of the country, I feel like that would be kind of pulverizing because, oh, they only got that much of the vote. What about the other 60 to 70%?
That's a fair point. That is actually an incredibly fair point. But again, I have pushback to that. My pushback would be you are absolutely right in individual races. If you're worried about vote splitting to the point that the winner gets something, not even like it gets a plurality of the vote, but gets something relatively small because, say, it's a close race vote split and someone wins with 25 or 30% of the vote in a 5-way race. But I would say 2 things matter. First, intent and actual motivation is hidden and is important actually to reveal when you have a 2-party system, because there are people who would, let's say, a Rockefeller Republican who is actually very much against Trump for whatever ideological principle reasons. But his only option or her only option is to vote for Kamala or to vote for Biden. And so they're choosing to vote, and artificially, because they're choosing to vote essentially under duress to vote for the lesser of 2 evils, then you're artificially getting your 51-49 or 52-48. Versus if you have true conscience and the ability to vote, then you're seeing actual mandate. That's the inferred mandate. And the second part as well too is if you do it, aggregate it across the country, most countries that have anything like that have a parliamentary system, often will form coalitions so that you have those different factions within, say, the left or the right that get to, based on their electoral support, can actually actively push in their government for things, not just forming internal caucuses and whoever is the current flavor of the month politically, but actually get to vote and advocate and to get to deal make. Because I'd argue that in a multi-party system, bipartisanship is not of some virtue. It actually becomes necessary for political survival. And that's why it's better for outcomes. That's my pushback.
So before I offer my rebuttal, I just want to ask this. Would you be cool if I were to turn this into a video? I try to turn positive conversations into videos and stuff. That way I can show that people can have good faith discussions.
100%. By the way, I'm an outsider. If I was in America, I would be a social democrat. But in my country, I'm center right. So it just be like that's how either skewed to the left my country is or skewed to the right yours depends on your perspective. But the level of childish discourse that I've seen of Democrats screaming at conservatives and vice versa, I agree. Actually having productive conversations matters.
Yeah, I try to promote it as best I can because I'll be honest, a lot of people come up here and scream at the top of their lungs and have bad faith debates, and I usually have one of two reactions. I either say, okay, nice to know that you have a childish brain and don't know how to be an adult and have a productive conversation. There's nothing I can do to help you.
Yeah.
So.
You can't help those that don't want to be helped, Gib.
Pretty much. But I would say that my only rebuttal to what your point was is my only example to remotely offer you would be our primary races, because if you look at the United States electoral system, when our primaries tend to be rather crowded normally. Usually you have, I would say, a minimum of about 4 to 5 candidates in either a party or across the board in both parties. So sometimes it can get up to 15 individuals running for one seat. So it can get rather crowded, and the voter bloc tends to, I feel, again, kind of get rather liquidated. I keep going back to that because I strongly feel like if you liquidate the vote to a certain extent, that's going to get less and less and less people of that actually is going to approve of that individual. Like the people that voted for that individual, great, like the 20 to sometimes 15% in the primary that voted for that individual. Yeah, they like them, but what's to say about everybody else that that individual didn't have to garner or didn't have to essentially get their vote because the voter pool was already so crowded as is, so they had to have a specific kind of message, and whoever hung on to that message, cool, but whoever didn't is kind of low fruit, didn't really care about it.
Okay, and then if I may rebut back, I'd say that your primary argument, I know it's going to sound weird, actually goes in my argument. Here's why. The primaries that happened in 2016 were absolutely ridiculous. It was a clown show. And I'm not talking about the Republican side, because Trump surged through. You know, obviously Jeb was the original favorite, and then later on the sentimental favorite was Ted Cruz, but Trump was able to build his train going forward. But on the Democrat side, Bernie Sanders had legitimate will of the people, and he was disenfranchised because I understand the aspirational in what you're saying, but in your system, both parties are treated like public utilities, and yet magically they also get to function. It's the weirdest thing. They get to function as private organizations as well too. They don't have to worry about ballot access. They have default ballot access. But the parties are able to set internal rules magically about who can do this, who can do that. Are there super delegates, so on and so forth. And so, if using your argument about the primary winnowing out who is the most electable person or who's the most popular within that given base, I would push to you this hypothetical. Say 2016 was a 4-way race, and it was Trump, Ted Cruz, representing different parts of conservatism, okay, different approaches to the Republican conservative side, and then on the blue side, it was Hillary Clinton or Bernie Sanders. In your heart of hearts, in a true 4-way race, do you think Trump wins even by the more diluted standards I'm talking about, which is he could win if he gets 40%? Because I think he gets mollywopped by Bernie Sanders. And that a huge reason why Trump won in 2016, there was obviously legitimate anger or looking for a transformational outsider, but that they gave him the worst possible fucking candidate that they could, which is the most unlikable Democrat since a Dixiecrat in Hillary Clinton. If he had gone up against Bernie Sanders, you could very well have had an actual socialist as your president. That's my assertion, and that's my pushback to you.
So I'll say that I get why you feel that way. I do, but I would have to disagree. I still think that Donald Trump would have won. It might have been a closer race because at least the oh, thank you TikTok for approving my appeal again. I've been getting a lot of appeals approved lately. Anyway,
Sir, can I tell you just to stop being fucking cocky?
I know, right? Hey, if you're trying to block me, then block me. That's fine. Anyway, when it comes to, as I was going to say, the reason why I still think that Donald Trump would have won, but it would have been a little closer, is because when it comes to Bernie Sanders, yes, he appeals to, yeah, for instance, my wife wanted Bernie. He does appeal to like a socialist construct, but I would say a socialist construct in 2016 was not the one-all be-all. It's more of individuals wanted something outside of the system because they had, at that point, they had felt massively of that the system disenfranchised them so badly that the system failed them over and over and over again. So to go with someone that essentially wanted you to depend on the system more in the form of social programs and trying to say that the rich is going to pay for everything versus someone that was essentially, as far as a lot of people at the time was being concerned, telling the ugly truth of the matter of, hey, yes, you depend on these social programs, but you need to have a goal of one day not depending on the government, because the government might fail you like it has in the past, and you need to have a plan B. And a lot of people, I feel, resonated with that. So even if it would have been Bernie Sanders, anyone with a social construct, yes, would have voted for him 100%. But anybody that did not really garner with the social construct because of it failing in their ideological opinions over and over and over again, they would have still went for Donald Trump.
I think, if I may be honest, I think you're misconstruing the thrust of what I was saying, because I was not making a normative statement that Bernie would have been the better option, or that Bernie would have been the superior timeline for us to live in. Even if I agree far more with Bernie Sanders' views than I do with, say, Trump. But my argument was, in the actual heat of the moment, not what is best outcome, would Trump have won? And I will stand 10 toes and tell you, no way. Because in a four-way race, I'm pretty sure, in my opinion, and from also my lived experience, because I've lived through a lot of elections up here, there tends to be a gravitation towards a reasonable compromise, is depending how they present it, for the blue center left candidate or the red center right candidate. The only reason extremism, either democratic socialism like what Bernie's selling, or like economic nationalism like what Trump's selling, is only really possible at scale in a country like, say, America, because of the artificial, and excuse my language, bullshit two-party system. Because no other democracy entrenches its parties like America does. Every other country has major parties, but they have to all meet objective criteria, just like the third, fourth, and fifth parties do, which is what allows multiplicity. That's my pushback.
Yeah, so something that you said kind of just stood out to me a little bit. You're saying that essentially that people tend to go towards the middle candidate, or for an alternate term, kind of the moderate candidate. And I would argue that putting Bernie Sanders and the term moderate in the same sentence, as far as I'm concerned anyway, is not compatible, because I do not view Bernie Sanders as a moderate candidate. I view him.
Sorry. I apologize. I don't mean to interject. We haven't had interjections, but one thing, I wasn't saying Bernie was moderate. What I actually said was that in a four-way race, the one I was presenting to you, was that it would have gone to either a Clinton or a Cruz if they represented center left or center right, and that the extreme candidate, someone like Democrat socialist Bernie, who's far left, or economic nationalist MAGA on far right, they actually don't stand a chance usually in a four-way system unless there is a true and organic natural wave, a popular wave for them. Because I've seen it again, time and again. Four-way races, usually it's the center left or center right that wins. The far left and far right get representation, but they rarely win, because when you expose them face to face in comparison at the voting booth, most of them don't have enough actual broad-based support. Do you understand what I'm saying? I was not saying Bernie's a moderate at all.
Yeah, no, yeah, I definitely get what you're saying. I would like to say this though. Do you view Ted Cruz as a moderate candidate? Because you said Hillary Clinton and Ted Cruz would have a better chance because they would be viewed as the moderate candidate.
If I tell you what my honest take is, American politics is so skewed to the right. I can actually, if you're willing to, if it helps for your video, I can share a very quick anecdote if it's okay.
That's fine.
Sure. So we had a University of Ottawa political science professor. If you're familiar with the political compass, where people appear on the quadrant, he was
I'm familiar.
Yeah, he was mapping out different people's positions, different leaders' positions where they would fall on the quadrant. In Canada, if Obama was our prime minister, where do you think he would have fallen?
I would probably have to say he would have fallen on the moderate right authoritarian.
Okay, here's a funny thing. It turned out that he was more right-wing than our conservative prime minister at the time, Stephen Harper, because America's politics are generally so skewed to the right from the perspective of European or Canadian or oceanic democracies.
Did I get it right, though?
Oh, no. Well, yeah, you actually didn't go a little. He was further right. He would have been our. Obama in Canada would have been our Ted Cruz.
Thank you for the gifts. You're awesome. You're God tier. Thank you for the gifts. Awesome, amazing. Anyway, but okay, yeah. I mean, I will say that I try to stress the fact that another country's view of how their political ideology and affiliation and leanings differentiate from each individual country, and you'd be amazed on how many people think that that's bullshit. I'm like, no, if you go to Canada and you look at their candidates and then you look at our candidates, it's going to be interesting on the perspective on a political compass.
Well, and I can just add to that, just to answer your, because I know I'm giving a long answer, but to give you an answer to your question. If Bernie Sanders came to Canada, he would have been an also-ran. There was nothing special about his policy platform. Most of our people would have considered him a moderate far leftist. The actual true left in our party, in our country, is called the NDP, New Democratic Party. They are way more to the left of what even Bernie Sanders or AOC talk about. So I'm just giving perspective. So to answer your question about Ted Cruz, given the American skew, I could definitely see a Ted Cruz as the moderate option in comparison to Trump. I'm using 2016 specifically as the framing for it.
Right. And I use the same thing. And honestly, I heard about it in 2016, but I had to kind of re-up my memory banks. According to the U.S. slash ABC, NBC, and BBC, Ted Cruz was actually farther right considering to comparison to Donald Trump.
Okay. Well, he was definitely
Trump
on his
was
religious messiah arc at the time.
Yeah. Yeah. So when it came to Ted Cruz, he actually was considered the extreme candidate. Trump was considered the moderate compared to Ted Cruz.
Instead of Ted Cruz, then put Mitt Romney there. My apologies. I was using people who actually survived the process. So use Mitt Romney then, because then my argument would be it would either go to a Hillary Clinton or a Mitt Romney in a four-way race, given 2016, then it would have gone to Trump or to Bernie. Because if you actually, at the moment of the polls, contrast four different options, again, I'm just telling by lived experience. America, in theory, could be exceptional or unique, but it's not. It's a democracy made up of people. They probably would have gone center left or center right. So that's my assertion, and that's my pushback to that. And I appreciate, if I can say, I appreciate the very, very, very convivial call. I like the fact we can actually have a conversation without insults or ad hominems. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, honestly, my personal point of view is if you have to insult someone or you have to swear, you lose your conversation. You lose the debate. You lose whatever the hell you was doing, because that goes that goes below a bar of an intellectual conversation.
Okay. Yeah, I agree with you 100%. 100%. I understand where emotions get into play. But yeah, it just becomes a constant circle jerk for people who want to just jump on the other side and make themselves feel better. Anyway, I appreciate your time. Thank you so much, host. Really appreciate it.
Yep, it was a pleasure. Thank you for coming up.
Thank you.
Yep. We are on a roll with good conversations today, Dark. We're on a roll with good conversations today.
I'm gonna punch you in the face, Dark.
He's not even responding. I think he's driving, honestly. I think he's driving. All right. I'm gonna end the live. It's been a pleasure, everybody.
It's been a real pleasure being able to talk to all the nice people in here.
Hey,
Yes.
we've had productive
I want a bite.
conversations.
I want a
You
bite.
can't- You can't deny
You can't
that.
just offer me a bite of pizza and then proceed to eat said pizza that you're offering me in the first place.
Dark, did you hear what I said?
Yeah, I heard.
Yeah, we've had really productive conversations today. It's been nice.
Spit the entire feast!
No, I didn't.
wish
If
it
I
was
did, it
always
would have
this
all
way.
fit in my mouth. But I can't fit that much in my mouth.
But yeah.
The crust is cardboard, but not the
Because it's
center of the
almost
pizza.
6.
Oh yeah, I forgot. We're an hour ahead
You're
of you.
just enjoying I'm not yelling.
I'm watching
Oh, when you go to work tomorrow, I've got to put in more applications first.
tomorrow.
Anyway, Dark, did you hear what I said about productive conversations? Yeah.
It's always nice to
It's
have a
been
productive conversation with the northern Mexicans.
We've been on a roll today.
Yeah, we've had, 6 good conversations and, only 2 bad ones?
Yeah, that's actually a really good ratio. I'm not gonna lie, that's like excellent.
Dark, I'm gonna come punch you in the face. Can you hear me?
I don't know. It's right. Right now the live's restricted, so.
The live can be restricted all they want to. They suck.
Oh, the restriction went away.
No, of course it goes away just as you're about to end it. TikTok's like, oh, hey, he's about to end it. So we're going to lift his
Oh, no.
restriction.
No, the restriction's still there. When I clicked the tab to see what the restriction was, and then I clicked out, it made it look like it went away. But I mean, at the same time, I'm restricted. I also it's been approving my appeals. So
well, that's good. Debate.
Huh?
Ooh, pepper shot bites.
I don't fucking know. Lord knows why.
No, you don't, bitch.
All right, Dark. I'm gonna go see if I can get funds yet.
Okay.
You guys have a great one. It's been a pleasure.
Gibbs said bye.
Bye byes.
She said bye.
All right. Yep. Away go. Goodbye. Salim. Saloon. Au revoir.